Hey YouTube, you have Leonard here. Bringing guys and gals, Kanojo Okarishimasu, Rent a Girlfriend, we're here, we're on chapter 236. So everyone, I just finished the chapter, and again, if you don't know, I explained this in the community post, but because of a changing work schedule, among other stuff, going to the office, I'm bringing Rent a Girlfriend back to the evenings versus the morning Eastern Standard Time. So this will be the new time slot for Rent a Girlfriend, unless I have the day off, of course, but this was a very, very, very good chapter. I check out the live reaction on Twitch, everyone, of course, link in the description box down below. But I was very excited reacting to this chapter. It was good. I was happy because we finally are getting Chizuru and Kazuya having their moment. And for me, the biggest thing was that throughout the last few chapters, I felt so sad for Kazuya. And the reason being is because Kazuya, it wasn't even so much about, in my personal opinion, you guys can agree or disagree, of course, but my personal opinion was the fact that Kazuya wasn't so much upset about Chizuru not liking him back. I think many times over in this manga, as much as it would crush him, as we saw during the Wines arc, he made peace that Chizuru probably would never like him and wouldn't reciprocate the feelings. But at the bare minimum, he still wanted to tell her. If anyone has ever had a situation where you like somebody, and I know I've been in this situation in the past many times over, and you know it's not going to work out, but you still feel compelled that you need to tell the person because you have to get off your chest. You have to clear the air. You have to at least know that your feelings got through, even if they're not reciprocated, that the person knows where you stand. And for the longest time, that's where Kazuya was. Kazuya just wanted Chizuru to understand he had these feelings, that he does love her, and that hopefully that would get through. The sad thing though is that from Kazuya's standpoint for the past 3 months, he's been ignored. It's basically Chizuru slapping his face, closing the door, and just saying, I don't care about your feelings. It's very reminiscent of obviously chapter 218, which still lives in infamy for obvious reasons, everybody. But it was similar to what I said in chapter 218, the NTR chapter as we kind of call it, where the thing that hurt Kazuya the most and why he spiraled so far down wasn't that Chizuru doesn't like him, but that he felt based on her running away that his emotions weren't even worth it, that he wasn't even worth her time. It's not a question of not liking him. The fact that he didn't even deserve to confess to her is what killed him in chapter 218. And the reason he spiraled so much in these last few months is very similar. This whole idea of being ignored, potentially blocked, the kiss, but then not even addressing it. It feels like literally Kazuya's like against the wall, trying to convey his feelings, but it goes nowhere, and Chizuru's saying, I don't care. So the reason why this chapter for me personally was probably one of my favorite chapters in the past 10 or 15, well, I can't say 15, but in the past 10 chapters, I'll say. Actually, maybe even more than that, I take it back. In a long time, this is one of my favorite chapters, because this is the first time, I would argue in the manga, this is the first time where Kazuya can say definitively, possibly in his heart anyway, that his feelings did get through to Chizuru. It's the first time. He could have had speculations about all this other stuff, and we can go back to the movie arc, but this is the first time where he can say definitively that she knows for a fact that he likes her, and that she heard his confession. And at the end of the day, she's not running from it. Well, she did run from it. But at the end of the day, by Yaimori having that conversation, then telling Kazuya the results of it, and how the reason why she ghosted him is because of the Ruka stuff, it doesn't excuse in my heart the fact that what Chizuru did was bad. But from Kazuya's viewpoint, the fact that she doesn't hate him, the fact that she actually views him as someone that at least is deserving of potentially a response. And then when she accepted the date, there were so many good things. And just to touch on Yaimori, again, Yaimori MVP for all of the stuff that she did last chapter, getting us to this point. We don't have this moment, everyone, without Yaimori. I promise you, if Yaimori didn't talk to Chizuru, I don't think Chizuru would have gone back to talk to Kazuya. I really don't. I think she would have convinced herself that she's doing the right thing, and she would have been gone. She would have been gone. So again, Yaimori, you're the MVP, because if not for you, we wouldn't be here. And looking at Twitch chat right now, Risha, I agree with you. For me, this has to be one of my favorite chapters. because of all the implications. Like, I felt myself overcome emotion. I didn't cry. You guys know I cry a lot, but I didn't cry. But I felt emotion welling up when Kazu's just like, thank God she doesn't hate me. And that was powerful, guys. That was one of the most powerful lines. And I just think that Kazu's overall reaction to all of this is very refreshing. I think it's very mature on his part. Some can say he's overly optimistic as well. But again, he doesn't care about what Chizuru's going to say. He feels like for the first time in his time with Chizuru that he has a legitimate chance. And wherever she says, I'm not interested or I want to be with you, he will make peace with that. Because at least he knows that she's actually listening to him now. That he actually has a right at the stage. He's on the platform, and whatever happens from there happens. But at least he knows that she is listening. And that is so big. And I just want to touch on one other thing, everybody, quickly, as I go back to the very beginning of the chapter. The very beginning of the chapter, then I'm going to bring us back kind of to the last panel as well. The beginning of the chapter, we have some words. You know, usually the chapter starts off, we have like Chizuru doing something nice and like different thought bubbles. Here's what it said in the beginning of the chapter. Sometimes these feelings can make me feel unsteady. But at the end of the day, you're my rock. And it shows Chizuru in the center and Kazuya kind of in the background contemplating. So you can take this as basically Kazuya feeling that, again, Chizuru is the rock in his life. It's because of Chizuru that he can keep going. And realistically, Chizuru is the reason why he's had so much development. And he's gone backwards and he's gone forward. Chizuru is the reason behind all of that. Kazuya didn't have initiative in the past. Kazuya wasn't doing much of his life. He went through the motions. Some would say he was very irresponsible. But being with Chizuru taught him how to legitimately love somebody. I know the mommy stuff, but I mean legitimately fall in love with somebody, care for them above yourself. The whole movie arc where you actually put in work and persistence, Chizuru is the reason for Kazuya becoming, honestly in my opinion, a pretty stand-up guy. Someone that people, his family can actually be proud of for the way that he handles stuff. But it works in reverse as well. Chizuru can also say the very same lines about Kazuya. Kazuya has been a rock to Chizuru throughout various points, if not a good chunk of the manga, especially in the middle to the end portions. Kazuya has been that rock for Chizuru. So when we get the ending panel of this chapter in particular, and you see Chizuru blushed, flustered, and anxious, waiting for Kazuya. And Kazuya likewise, anxious, flustered, waiting for her. Perfect. It was absolutely perfect. The way he sets it up of just like, she's not usually late, and all these people are talking about Chizuru, and I'm like, does he not see her? And you see that she's been there for some time just waiting, and she clearly has so much is on her mind, she's thinking. But this, the dichotomy of just seeing the two of them waiting in different areas, both nervous, flustered, excited, uneasy, and then just showing the panel where you have both of them kind of like in their own separate panels there at the end. It was... I honestly think for me this was a perfect chapter. I don't really rate the chapters, honestly. If I had to give this chapter a rating, I would give it probably an 8 or a 9, probably a 9 out of 10 for my own personal enjoyment. There are some things that could have been maybe better, of course, but all in all, this is one of my favorite chapters. The emotion was there, and I'm just happy for Kazuya, everybody. We give Kazuya as a community at times a lot of flack. We really do. I know there are people who are very devoted to Kazuya who would probably say, I've always loved Kazuya, and this is true. But as a majority, I think we can all get on Kazuya fairly, by the way, very fairly at times. But you just have to understand where he's coming from here. And Kazuya, throughout the past several chapters, has done, in my opinion, nothing wrong. And I felt for him. I could see how this was really breaking him down. And you see how he changes, even like we talked about on the Twitch side, right, everybody, when he shaved the mustache. The moment the life came back to him, he started looking like Kazuya again, learning that Chizuru didn't hate him. Shaves the mustache. Now we have this date. The hair is back to normal. And Kazuya's kind of rounding back into form. But it's different. Kazuya right now couldn't look any cooler because he has a true sense of resolve, passion, and he's ready. He's ready to take this on and see what happens. So those are my thoughts, everybody, per the usual. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. How did you guys feel about this particular chapter? Again, for me, even going all the way back to some of the chapters we had with the confession, and those were great, by the way. But I think this chapter for me is even better than those. Not because of shock value or anything like that, or like the story progression. It's the character. The character of Kazuya, and seeing how he's essentially brought himself back thanks to Yae and Mori, and he has this new sense of purpose. And seeing the emotion in his eyes. Like, the Eiichis are an amazing artist. I'll give him flack for the writing, for things I have not been happy with for the last several chapters and I remain unhappy with. But the way he conveys the art in this chapter of Kazuya and the weight that's been lifted off of his shoulders, it literally almost brought me to tears. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. So, my prediction for next week, I don't know what's going to happen necessarily on this date. I still maintain that they have to address the Ruka situation as well. And we need to see Ruka. But for the time being, they're going to go on the date. It's going to be very awkward initially. And they're going to actually have at least the start of a dialogue. That's my thought. So per the usual, everybody, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Like if you like the video, subscribe if you like my content. It's greatly appreciated as always. And with that, I'm going to end it here. I'm Leonard, and I'm out. Take care, everybody, and have a good one. Peace. Go Kazuya.